everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today is a story day. Kind of. We're going to talk about my family's homeschool story and why Connections Academy just didn't work for us. So if you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe. Give me a big thumbs up. We have a lot of content coming out. What am I lying? I have a lot of content coming out. Over the next few weeks, I do mom stuff, and I do vlogs about life, and I do my weight loss journey, and I hope that you stick around. So I did a video about Connections Academy and why it was a horrible experience, and a lot of people have seen that video, and they've asked for more information about where I am as far as homeschool and why we went to homeschool, the whole process. So I wanted to address that today. So let's start at the beginning. The child that we homeschooled, when she was in the 3rd grade, she went to a very good school, but they got a new principal. And this new principal was very unliked by most of the parents. It kind of got to a point at one time that multiple, like 10 to 15 kids were being withdrawn a day. And I got involved because my daughter was in the gifted program, had straight A's up to this point, and the teacher, like in 3rd grade, it was noticeably harder. She went from 1 teacher to 3. Well, they weren't sending home like a, what do you want to call it? Anything telling us when tests were, nothing that told us what was going on in the classroom. Newsletter, that's what I'm thinking about. And up to this point, every teacher had. Now, I understood that they were trying to teach the children responsibility. But after months and months, and my child literally going from straight A's to failing, I called the principal because I wanted a little bit more information about what was going on. And I wasn't getting what I felt were appropriate responses inside of the classroom. So, I went forward and I waited on him to call me back, and we set up a meeting. It was easier for me to go in and have a meeting. I enjoy speaking with people face to face. And this Cabana boy, because that's what I'm going to call him, okay, and don't come for me if you know who he is, I don't care, told me on the phone the first time that he really didn't care to meet with parents. I went ahead and basically sat outside of his office one day until he got tired of looking at me, because I'm that kind of parent. Sorry y'all, my hair's driving me nuts today. So, that just got worse. Alright. In that meeting, he told me that it was not my job to help my child succeed, and that it wasn't my job to help her study. Now, we're talking about a 3rd grader learning spelling words and vocabulary words. And that I was too much of an involved parent. That there were too many involved parents in the entire district, and that's why the school was failing. Y'all, it took me a second, and I was like, did I hear you right? Then he proceeds to tell me that my child had only been memorizing up to this point, and she had no clue what she was doing, and that she deserved every F she got. To tell y'all that this Southern mama was hot is the understatement of the year. I left it as is. I left the school because if I had stayed there, I would have caused a problem and probably gone to jail. I left and came home. At the time, my husband worked 3rd shift. And this was at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. Later that day, the same day, it comes across the news that they found a gun with a hit list in the school district. Here was my problem. I shouldn't have heard that from the news. I should have heard that from my child's school. there should have been some kind of message sent out to the school, like from the school to the parents. I should not have heard that from a third-party source. My husband, who is former military, was from a dead sleep to wide awake, and he's like, "Go get her, we're done." At this point, he was already done with it. He wanted to homeschool her from the get-go, but I was nervous that I would be a sufficient teacher for her, which I think is a fear and concern of most homeschool parents. So that same day, I went and checked her out, and she was like, "Well, Monday at school," I was like, "Oh no, baby, you're done. You're done." So on that Monday, I went and unenrolled her from school. We joined a local homeschool co-op through a church. And we're very fortunate that in Montgomery, Alabama, there's actually, of all places, a flea market, like in a set-up flea market in a building. And they have a booth that is almost the size of my house that is nothing but homeschool curriculum. And so we went down there, my husband and I, on the weekend, and we sat and we looked through textbooks for hours until we settled on the Abeka curriculum. If you look at the comments on my first video, you will see that I have recommended Abeka from the get-go. They are the best. It was a Christian-based homeschool curriculum, and you could get the student workbook, the textbook, and the parent book, teacher book, and the answer keys, and it was all reasonably priced. I think we would pay, it was around $600 to $800 for a full grade of courseware. And we did that. She loved it. You know, we kept her in other events and things to keep her socially engaged. She was in church, 3 days a week. And that was like with the kids group, and then with the youth group. She played soccer. She still did band class. The co-op we were in was really, really good. So they had like a homeschool band that she got to join when she was old enough. And she was speeding through this material. She really enjoyed knowing that she could sit down at 8. If she completed her full list of schoolwork, she was done by 1 o'clock. Well, she went through this material so fast that she would complete an entire school grade in a semester. She's a child that, I wouldn't say enjoys school, but she does enjoy accomplishing things, and she enjoys learning information. And we found that the Abeka material really kept her engaged. We went through, she went through 3rd and 4th grade in a year, 5th and 6th grade in a year, 7th and 8th grade in a year. 3 grades that should have been 6 years, she went through it in 3. For her 8th grade year, she was starting to get into some math, and we were kind of concerned. My husband's not very good at math. I'm good at accounting math, but don't throw algebra at me. So we saw an advertisement for Connections Academy, and that's how we got involved in Connections. It was a very interesting experience. You guys are welcome to go back and watch my video from before where I talk about that. I will link it below and link it at the end of this video. It wasn't the experience for us. She was constantly behind, constantly frustrated. We gave up on it and walked away from it and went back to Abeka where we should have been the whole time. So she finished out her 8th grade year, and it was getting to a point, she's already taken her ACTs. She's already, she applied to a college and was accepted, but we would have to pay for it out of pocket. We weren't financially yet prepared to do that. So after a lot of convincing and discussing it with local families, we found a local high school for her. And had we found this high school years ago, we would have put her in there the whole time, in this elementary and high school. We love the school that she's in. They are, well, let me say this. When we went in and we talked to the principal, and he truly seemed to care about her and her education, he said, well, I don't know that we want to put her where she should be, because she should have been in the 7th grade. And I told him, I was like, very honest, I think if you put her there, she's going to get in trouble. Because idle hands are the workshop of the devil, and when she's not busy or challenged, she can be mischievous. So he tested her. They did a full line of tests on her, and she was 12 years old, and she tested in the 11th grade. And so he was like, we're obviously not going to do that. Between discussions with him, her, of course my husband, and the counselor, we settled on 9th grade. And we had talks with all of her teachers. They all knew her age. The great thing about this school is there's only about 60 kids for the entire grade. This allowed her a lot of opportunity. She got to go in and be a part of the marching band, which she still is. She practices 3-4 days a week, football games on Friday. She's now getting to have a better high school career, and she is doing really well. Now, we made this decision because it's what suited our family the best. There are a lot of families that doesn't work for. If a Becca is what you need to do, they also offer a Becca Academy that you can pay for, and there are live classes with live teachers, and that's a really great program too. So there are different options for you. Realize that each family's homeschool journey is going to be different. There are some parents who do, I don't know what unschooling. We never did that. We stuck pretty much with the same kind of school schedule that a traditional school would have, and my child just happened to excel at it, and she did amazing. And I think that she's doing so well now because of those years that we homeschooled her. She doesn't always depend on a teacher to teach her everything. She's able to look at the text and figure it out. And that's because she's an independent worker. And it's been great for her. She absolutely loves her school. She absolutely loves being in school now. And I feel like she was more prepared because we kept her out during some of those years that can be very frustrating, which are 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I will tell you that don't be pressured by anyone else to follow their path. Every child is different, like I said. Every family dynamic is different. And to be perfectly honest, every child learns different. And every child may thrive in a different atmosphere. I don't necessarily feel like we ever pulled our child out or kept her away from bullying. She understands what it is. She still deals with it. I just hope that we were able to give her the skill set to deal with it in an appropriate manner. There are some things that we just need to teach them that maybe they would learn in a traditional environment that they're not going to learn through a homeschool book. Like how to deal with bullies, how to present yourself in a proper way. We never allowed Mary to do her schoolwork in her pajamas. We got up at 7 o'clock in the morning. We had breakfast. We got dressed for our day. I worked from home, so that worked. And we went about our life, and we did our schoolwork. And it was always, you still have to get up. You still have to get dressed. We never lounged around. We still kept it very formal, and it helped her. My fear about some of the way that people homeschool is that college isn't like that, and life isn't always like that. If you go to a new job, they're going to want you to learn things quickly versus taking this book and having 6 weeks to figure it out. I'm fairly certain that if my child was to be given a task, she could sit there and read the book and in about 30 minutes probably figure it out. Some of these things they learn as symptoms of public school. We had to teach those things. I think that's about it for this video. I am going to, like I said, put this at the end of the previous video. Make sure that you watch both of them. Have you tried Connections Academy or K-12 learning? If you have, leave me a comment about your experience, because I would really like to know. Until next time, guys, bye.